and I'm amazed by his work as well. So he's a technologist. He has been CEOs for a few companies, and he is the Forbes 30 under 30. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite Joanne to kickstart the session. Over to you, Joanne. Yeah, we can.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. It's been very interesting sessions between Raul and the data BI that you guys have and Ludovic. So yeah, it's an exciting morning, and I'm gonna try for this last session to be a little bit as interesting by sharing two stories actually on the topic of how to turn data storytelling into your unfair advantage. I'll be sharing two stories, one that is very personal and that is showcasing how I had the chance to use data to become my unfair advantage for the past decade. And a second story, which will help you understand how to leverage all those amazing data that Raul have shared on Power BI and make sense of it, because, you know, to be honest, sometimes it's quite confusing to have so much data into our hands. Turning those data into stories that create clarity and make you win all the time in the corporate world. All right, let's get into it. So it's been I think 8 years I'm here, and my first work in Lazada was to do BI, actually, business intelligence for the marketing team. And I'm sharing you here a gem. This was Lazada's first e-commerce dashboard for the whole Southeast Asia back in 2015. So you can see it was not as good as, you know, what we can imagine today. But you know what? That was the first time the CEO of Lazada was receiving every 12 hours a complete snapshot of all countries, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, in one glance, right? And you could see here each details of the orders, the comparison of the sales between each channels of marketing, how much revenue they have made per day, and the comparison with the last 5 weeks, with the last 3 months, the last year sales. So that was a quite impressive data for that time. Now, guess what? I was the only guy who could code and have a marketing sense in the whole Lazada Thailand office. And since, you know, we had the biggest team, you know, I had to build that dashboard. That was my first experience leveraging on data to create an unfair advantage for a company. You can see here some of my code. At that time, it was just simple virtual basic VBA and a little bit of JavaScript to connect some APIs of Google Analytics together. So this was, you know, my first experience with data. But you know what? This actually led me to an incredible story for the next few years. And, you know, to explain a story and a data story, what's best than a video? So I'm going to share with you this quick video now, and then we'll get too deep into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Joan.
So yeah, what happened was a crazy adventure. A crazy adventure that lasted more than 6 years, where all of you guys, you know, can never imagine what we've seen really. we've been able to do so much that, you know, it's something that I will never have, you know, imagined. And that was all thanks to data. So now it's time maybe to introduce myself with a little bit of background. I'm John Fall. I started to code at 14 years old. I worked for Lazada BI marketing team at 21 years old. And at 23 years old, I was the founding CEO of a multi-million-dollar tech business. At 26 years old, I had the chance to sell some of my shares to JobsDB and Alibaba. Over the years, right after Lazada, I raised 10 million US dollar from investors, including Alibaba, and I generated $30 million revenue. And all of that was through data storytelling. How? We're gonna get to share that to you guys and share you how everything I know, my best weapons, my best secrets on how to turn data into your unfair advantage. This got us to get covered into Forbes, but also into TechCrunch, into Tatler, in New York Times, and I even got the chance to publish a book. I am a data analyst turned into a data entrepreneur. And you know what? I'm not that special. I didn't study data. I don't have specific, you know, interest in math or statistics. I'm not really good at this. So it's really mean that if I could have done it, everybody could have done it. So this is the story on how we have got the chance to do that journey. And here we go. So as a disclaimer, please don't believe I'm that successful. You know, I'm not using data and storytelling, not going to get you to become a billionaire. I mean, maybe, but it's not my case. I'm not a billionaire. A few kilograms to lose, you know, for my weight. So there's so many wrong things that I've done last 5 to 10 years. But today I'm going to try to showcase you things that could be useful for your environment in the corporate world and using data to your unfair advantage. So how I had the chance to make that money and make that company successful after Lazada is leveraging on a big data problem. That data problem was called, in my world, the talent crunch, and specifically the tech talent crunch. What is this talent crunch about? It's very simple. In the whole world, there is a gap of 85 million workers that are needed in the technology world. E-commerce, gaming, you can imagine, you have seen it with the last presentation. This is a lot of money in there, right? And actually every month, companies like Unilever or companies like Valve or Alibaba are not having enough of these digital marketers, data scientists, developers. They're actually losing money. They're actually losing a lot of money. We're talking about $8.5 trillion of unrealized output every year for these digital companies, with the problem of not being able to hire people fast enough or at the right price. And this is the big data problem that I've been monetizing for the past decade. How we've done that? We've been taking all this data. We've been building a platform that had, you know, more than 5 million of these data people, of these tech people. So we started with Thailand. We had the chance to build the first tech conference gathering software engineers. We had 5,000 of these software engineers into that conference with Google, etc. And then we scaled up step by step. We went to Silicon Valley, had the chance to raise money from there, incorporate the company in Mountain View, come back here with a little bit of money, open Vietnam, do another conference with 5,000 people. And gradually, this got us to have the largest database of software engineers, designers, digital marketers, and data scientists in Southeast Asia. But that largest database didn't mean anything if we didn't have this data. And if we were not able to transform this data into meaningful insights to help corporate businesses like yours to actually recruit those people at the best price and faster. So this is the type of insight that we were sharing and that we made to take those data, which were in the spreadsheets, into visualized, very simple, insightful pieces of information for corporate companies to be able to know how much they should pay to hire someone like Rahul, who is delivering so much value for the business. Here you could see a very simple infographic with the average salary of a software engineer in Bangkok compared to Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Ho Chi Minh City, etc. Another example was the experience. We were giving those insights and nobody else in Southeast Asia was able to provide those insights. Those insights were the actual salary for a fresh grad, a 1 to 5 years experience, and a 5 years and above experience in US dollar value. And we were doing that for every market where we are. We're in Thailand, Hong Kong, for example, here. And this is an unfair advantage because the companies that will access those data will actually know how to pay their staff and won't be overpaying or underpaying. In the tech industry, where the salaries are so high, we're talking here about hundreds of thousands of US dollars per year. A last example was for talents and for companies to know how to train better their employees, right? So what were the languages that in upskilling the company should help their talents to learn, and what was the skill that will have the biggest impact of their workforce? Was it HTML, JavaScript? Was it, having a training on Google Analytics? All of this was explained through the 5 million people that we've got into our database and taking their insight into a very simple infographic. This is data storytelling. Now you understand how I had the chance with my co-founders and my team from being a small data analyst intern in Lazada to turn data into my unfair advantage. The question was, how can your business could save money hiring tech people, right? And we had a very small output if you think about that compared to what you guys have in hands in Unilever. Our output was just $30 million with, increased sales with the COVID and other things that, help people to use more digital product. But now think about this. If we had turned our data into our unfair advantage, why can't you? And with Unilever, you probably don't talk just about $30 million. You talk about a lot more, right? Partially in corporate, where it's so important to convince people with insights. How can you help get more budget for your business unit? Talking about e-commerce today, but can be about everything. How can you get more budget for your team to hire staff in your team, etc.? Data storytelling will be your unfair secret weapon that nobody have else than you. So now I will be sharing you a very, very concrete story on how to use data storytelling in a corporate like yours and turn that into your unfair advantage. Once upon a time, a number of years ago, I've got hired to work with the VP of a real estate company, the VP of analytics of that company. And now you're going to tell me, John, what's the relationship between e-commerce and real estate? Well, actually, there is a couple. And this is why I think this is a relevant analysis. Real estate and e-commerce are both huge markets. Actually, real estate and e-commerce have tons of customer data to analyze to be able to drive better ROI. And lastly, real estate and e-commerce require a huge, massive investment. And I can tell you that because when I was in Lazada, we always lose money. We always lose money on vouchers, discounts, and Facebook advertising. My team was spending $1 million US per month, just on Facebook ads. So if this is not wasting money, what is it? But at that time, Lazada was doing this to get all the market and be able to be the biggest player in 6 countries of Southeast Asia. And you know what? That's what got Alibaba to buy them. So this is not wasting money. This is actually a massive investment. Same for real estate. When you buy a house or when you buy a building, it's a massive investment that you get back over time. And this is where I believe this is a relevant analysis for you guys. So when this VP of analytics from that real estate company in the US called me, this is what she shared with me. a blunt Excel file with random data that, you know, just make me headache, right? And I guess you guys are also headache when you see this, or even if you see, you know, some dashboards sometime on Power BI, like the one Rahul have showed, it's just headache, right? So can you imagine spending all your days doing that? Honestly, great job, the data analytics team, because I just can't, right? Thanks to the work sitting down with that person in the US, after 2 weeks of work, we got together and turned that Excel file into a dashboard like this, an executive revenue dashboard that were not only showcasing the revenues of the company, but actually including all the market data of their competitors, as well as the insights of their renters and the buyers of these apartments, all of that into a simple dashboard story that was real time. And I'm really excited because I see you guys are already at that level. You already start to have this thanks to the data team. But this is not just about having the dashboard. It's about turning that dashboard into an insightful data story that people can relate to. Let me share you why. Telling data stories is an important skill to master because it's actually about the very, very most important thing into the human brain. Creating emotions through storytelling is actually leveraging on some of the oldest organs in our brain, creating different particle molecules like cortisol and oxytocin. Cortisol and oxytocin are the things that are making people remember, are making people take choices. And even if we were in a completely rational world with a robot as a boss, which is not going to happen, emotions, until there, emotions will be important. Emotions are the way you will be able to convince your boss to get you more budget. Emotions are the way your customers will actually decide to buy your product instead of your competitors. And focus is what will help you. Cortisol and those emotions are on focus, are what will help you get the attention of your team during this very long presentation, right? So you have data, you have very boring data. Why not turning those data into an interesting story? So you can keep the attention of your team members and your boss in the meeting. You can evoke emotions that will make your project and your proposal more exciting and more memorable than the other business units. And you can make people have a great time with very insightful data information. Nothing to lose, right? So that's where it's important skill to master. So in that process, I will be sharing you some of the tips in which I believe are essential for any business manager today to be able to turn data storytelling into an advantage. Number one, it's identifying executive priorities. Being in the shoes of the decision maker is very important, but really sitting down and understanding those priorities is key. And in a couple of minutes, I will share with you guys a framework that we've designed to help you leverage with a very simple flow how to do that. Number two is designing clear visualization. And this is an art. Having a Power BI dashboard is just the beginning. How can you extract data from that dashboard and put them into your presentation, into your infographics, into your quarterly reports is the key. And we'll get to see there's a lot of different tweaks we can do to achieve that. And lastly, being a great orator, right? Being able to tell effective data stories with emotions is essential because delivering the message of all the work in 1 and 2 is actually the key. And this is requiring practice and a little bit of tricks, which I will also share in a couple of minutes. So firstly, we'll start by having a blueprint. So there's a lot of data information, right? You have the data warehouse, that your great data analytics team have created. You have some spreadsheets that you have from your team performances. You have maybe some old tools, you have PowerPoints, you have notes, you have messages, you have even conversations that you may have got around a coffee with your team member or at lunch. So you need to grab all of that, not just the Power BI dashboard, but really all of that, and put them into the blueprint. Now the blueprint is on 3 key things. Number 1, what questions will be answered? Number 2, what actions will be taken? Number 3, what results are expected? And from there, you need to decide what are the top 3 or 5 questions you want to answer about the business in your presentation using those data. So you can sit down with the people that will be decision maker in that meeting, and you can ask them, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. This is actually the first key thing that so many corporate managers are forgetting to spend time on before they deliver a presentation about the result of the quarter, or before they are delivering a presentation using data of Power BI. Tell me more. What question will be answered? An example, for the real estate story, it was, are we making enough profit each year? In which state are we losing money? Is our profit increasing? What product categories are below quarterly target? What products are losing money? So you see, it's real estate, but it's actually very, very close to category management of SKUs in the universe of Unilever e-commerce, right? So you see, this is something that is very relevant here. What action will be taken? I'm not gonna go into the details, but this is the idea. Now, this is the framework that you could be using to be able to simplify that. Making a story, what better than breaking that down with the story and acronym? S for story, T for tension. Hear me out. What question does the data story answer? What does this dashboard that you're showing into your presentation really answer? And this is where the question you have asked earlier to the decision maker will be very, very relevant. You need to ensure this is aligned, right? O, observation. What data is needed? Do you need to have all the data into Power BI? No, you just maybe need 1 or 2 numbers, 3 numbers for most, right? R for resolution. What actions can be taken with that insight? If you don't know what action can be taken from the insight that is on your presentation, how do you want your boss or your team members to know? Is it closing a store or closing a category of product? What's the real reason why we missed target? Do we need to stop selling some type of product, right? This is the resolution with a very concrete action. And lastly, yield. What are the expected results if we take this action? An example will be our data show that if we stop selling this SKU and we sell this SKU instead, we'll increase our profit margin by 3% this quarter, right? This is the type of things that tells you a very clear story of why this is not working, how can we solve it, with what action, and what will be the result, expected result. Once you have that, you can do a canvas. So a canvas is very much turning these key questions and the story framework that I just shared with you into a dashboard. That dashboard doesn't have to have as much number as this one. That dashboard could have only 3 numbers that help you explaining what action will be taken and what is the result expected, right? And actually that dashboard doesn't even have to be a dashboard. That dashboard could be simply an infographic. For example, here, this is an infographic that is very clearly explaining something while leveraging data and telling a story, right? You have 3 examples here, but actually there is so many examples. And I'm showing you one of my greatest weapons, this one. Canva. How to make great presentations today. It's not PowerPoint. If you want to make a presentation like everybody else that nobody gonna remember, use PowerPoint. If you want to be a little bit cooler, use Google Slides. But the real deal, guys, is Canva. Canva enables you to actually pick templates of already made and prepared infographics, presentation, etc., leveraging and creating very strong data stories for free. Remember Canva, go and check it out. This is a very important tool to create data stories, and anybody can use it. You don't have to be a designer. This is really the power of this tool. Another key thing is intuitive visuals, right? So using visuals that create quick cognitive insights. So we have the story framework. How do people read it? Z in that shape is something that is always a good idea. Positioning the most important data on the top bottom of your presentation on your slide is very, very, very well working. And then this is about picking up the right framework to showcase your data. Are you looking at a line graph, a scatter plot, a tree map, a progress bar, right? So you have different type of visualization that you can pick, and all of this is some tools that you can pick, but you should not pick all of it. And that's the mistake of a lot of data scientists. They will pick everything and put it into a dashboard. No, you should not do that. You should just pick one thing. Distribution, comparison, deviation. There's so many of these frameworks that I could share with you. To be honest, there is so much more stuff, calling with meaning. There's really a lot more things in data storytelling, but I just don't have time to share you all the knowledge that we have on that. So I will try to wrap up here because we are running out of time. And I want to wrap up by sharing you the key essential thing that I would like you to remember today. Number one, identifying executive priorities is hard, but that's the key. If you can do that properly, you will win any of the budget requests that you ask to your boss or to the decision maker. Designing clear visualization is an art, it's a real art, and you can use Canvas and other tools to really do that without having to have a designer under you. And lastly, telling data stories is very important. You understood it already, with emotions. Never forget that. The blueprint, the Canva, the story, make the first 30 seconds matter. Bring emotion and passion, and then practice. Now, I will close by showing you who we are at Adaptivity, because actually when Eamon contacted us a few months ago, we were like, okay, what is this about? And now I really understand how we can help you, because we have programs that could actually go into the details of what I shared briefly today. And for the ones that are interested, very similarly to the product that Ludovic have shared earlier, you can take on and enroll in our formation for data storytelling, as well as many other formations. Just write down in the chat, I want, or contact Eamon to be one of the participants of the masterclasses we'll be doing together with Unilever. Adaptivity, who we are. We are the fourth industry revolution education platform, specialized in digital education and career reinvention in today's most highly demanded skill set. What we do concretely is we support leading companies aiming to leverage technology to fuel their success by providing lifelong learning and personalized solutions to their employees, as well as tech experts for special data and tech missions. By doing this, we aim to bring humanity to technology and prepare leaders like yours in paving tomorrow of your company. We do that for many clients, Fortune 500, and what we do for them is we future-proof them by helping their talents to upskill to these very high demand skill sets. So this is what we do with Adaptivity. If you want to learn more about our world, our ecosystem, or what we call our economy, our adaptive economy, feel free to go and check out my book as well, which you can access by QR coding this or just entering the address here. And we'd love to know how we can help you more. I hear a lot of great things already done with Unilever in terms of the BI side. So now it's all about harnessing the power of storytelling and data storytelling to make sense of this confusing data and make this your unfair advantage for yourself, for your career, and for your company as a whole. Now, thank you, and I hope we stay in touch here and have a really great experience with this Learning Week. Thank you, Eamon, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Joanne. And just to everyone, I know you guys have to go, but our commitment is that we are not just doing this Seattle Learning Week just for the sake of the whole week, but we are going to have a lot of programs coming after this. And one of it also, we have already planned with Adaptivity as well. So look out for our post-Learning Week comms that we will ask for your participation as well. But Joanne, just before you go, just one last question that we would like to ask you. There were a few questions on Pigeonhole, but I think just one thing that we want to, if you can answer, is about data and biasness, because sometimes when we show data, we tend to be biased as well of what we really want to show. And what's your view on this as well, Joanne? Yeah.
So we're talking about having Unilever becoming the greatest e-commerce, one of the greatest FMCG player in e-commerce, right? So digital is data, right? And data is analyzed by people. As those dashboards are created by people, you will have a bias, right? It's all about prioritizing and hierarchizing what data is more important than the other. And partially in storytelling, as you've seen, picking this chart instead of this other one is actually influencing the decision maker into what you want to share, right? So data and bias will always be a problem. Now, the solution is data collection, actually. What we see with the biggest company leveraging data science is the bias most of the time is made with the wrong data collection. So for example, if you type women skincare in Google, most of the data that are available will be white woman from Europe with a skincare product, right? Is it really that people are racist? No, it's just that most of the picture on the internet are using white women models for skincare product. So if you do a machine learning crawling, the number of women that are Asian compared to the women that are maybe Mexican and white women, and you do AI machine learning on this data from Google, the result will be always white woman wins. But this is not because the algorithm is biased or because the data scientists have done something wrong. It's just the availability of data just wasn't there because there's not enough pictures of Asian women with skincare products. So again, the key thing in this bias problem is just availability of data. Taking those data that are offline is a really big deal for many of the customers I've been working with, and this is what creates the biggest bias. So imagining that the manager and the data storyteller doesn't want to bias his data too much, that's the first thing that he will have to double check. Is the data set correct? And are those data actually properly engineered, right? And after that, of course, this is the decision of what story you want to tell. And again, this is how data storytelling is very important to become an unfair advantage.
Thank you so much, Joanne. So we will end our session for
Ayman, I think you're on mute, Ayman.
Ayman, you are on mute, actually.
Just realized that I was on mute. Yes, so I was just saying thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much for all the speakers for today. And have a good day, have a good week. And Joanne, Ludovic, and Rahul, let's catch up again after this and look forward for more sessions with you guys after this as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. Sure. Bye-bye. Sawadee ka.